Hello class, and welcome to chapter 14, the second to last chapter in this book for Advanced Accounting Information Systems. This chapter we're going to talk about evaluating accounting information system investments. So our objectives for this chapter are: 1, articulate similarities and differences between major IT initiatives and other capital investments. 2, explain the major steps in the economic justification of an IT initiative. 3, explain potential benefits of IT initiatives and how to evaluate them. 4, assess potential costs of IT initiatives and how to evaluate them. 5, describe potential risks of IT initiatives and corresponding risk mitigation techniques. And 6, apply capital budgeting techniques to assess the value of an IT initiative. So, first we're going to talk about large IT projects and what they require. They require economic justification. So worldwide IT spending forecasted to exceed $4 trillion by 2015. And this is according to the Gardner Group in January 2013. Think about that, $4 trillion. That's more than the intake by the U.S. federal government for taxes. So $4 trillion is supposed to be spent on IT this year in 2015. So IT projects require large amounts of capital, and capital, by definition, is limited. Selecting one project often means foregoing others, so we have to weigh the costs, right? Just like in economics, opportunity costs. If we do one thing, our opportunity costs are the things that we cannot do instead of that thing. IT projects often involve changes in business processes that will affect substantial portions of the organization. And capital budgeting techniques provide a systematic approach to evaluating investments, yet many organizations find it difficult to evaluate IT projects using traditional techniques. So, business case for IT initiatives. We should be able to answer these questions. Why are we doing this project? How does it address key business issues? How much will it cost and how long will it take? What is the return on investment and payback period? What are the risks of doing our project? What are the risks of not doing our project? What are the alternatives, if any? And how will success be measured? So if we look at a diagram here of the economic justification process, we assess the business requirements, then identify potential solutions, and then we estimate the benefits, the costs, and the risks, and then assess the value proposition, and we end with making a decision. So then we need to assess the business requirements. Refer to information on the balanced scorecard back in chapter 13 for what type of information we're going to need to be able to produce. IT initiatives should reduce one or more gaps between the firm's current and desired performance levels as indicated by the firm's strategy map. We shouldn't just do it because it's the hot new system, right? We need to be accomplishing something by changing systems. It's a big investment in money and time. IT alone is usually not sufficient to achieve important changes. There has to be training. Number one, there needs to be training on new systems. And consider other enabling changes that, in conjunction with the technology, will accomplish substantial business change. So if we look at that process, we have our planned IT initiatives and potential benefits from left to right. So we have IT functionality and complementary changes that flow into business process change, which hopefully results in improved performance. Examples of complementary changes to IT initiatives: training employees, redefining job descriptions, reconfiguring tasks, offering incentives to make changes, and possibly others, right? Estimating benefits: revenue enhancement, creating new sales opportunities. Revenue protection is for protecting existing revenue streams. Cost savings are opportunities to modify business processes to reduce low value added or manually intensive activities, right? We don't want to perform low value added or manually intensive activities. We want to automate where we can and reduce manpower. We We have a limited amount of manpower, but computing power can be much more powerful if leveraged correctly. So we do this to improve capabilities to manage assets, to increase efficiencies, or to reduce errors. And then cost avoidance, opportunities to modify business processes to avoid cost increase in the future. So if we look at forecasting effects of change, we have step 1, current output, step 2, current input, step 3, current effectiveness, step 4, impact of change, and we need to evaluate the marginal costs and benefits, and step 5, forecast our future effectiveness. Estimating relevant costs, acquisition costs of the system, direct costs to acquire and implement. So we have to think about these costs and what it's going to cost us to completely implement our system. We're talking about hardware, software, networking, and this can be, the networking can require some sorts of construction too in some instances, right? We might need to run additional hard lines or even buy additional outside lines like our T1, T3 dedicated type lines. Development, project management, consulting, and training are all costs to get that system up and running. Indirect costs of the disruption to current operations, right? And the time that it's going to take to train people. So not just the training costs of consultants and whoever else, but also the time employees give up to attend that training. Estimated relevant costs, continued operating costs, direct costs necessary to operate, maintain, and administer the technology. So now we've implemented it and we have to operate it. So we have hardware replacement costs, software upgrades, maintenance contracts, help desk support, ongoing training, administration, decommissioning. So indirect costs of user downtime and lost productivity, such as time spent on self-training, peer support, and user data management, etc. These are all costs to keeping our system up and running, and we need to make sure that we consider these costs as legitimate costs to when weighing whether or not we want to implement new IT infrastructure. So then we're going to assess risks. Alignment risk is the solution is not aligned with the strategy of the firm. Solution risk is the solution will not generate projected benefits. Financial risk is the risk that the solution will not deliver expected financial performance. Project risk is the risk the project will not be completed on time within budget. This is huge. So many enterprise system implementations eventually fail and are never fully implemented or are abandoned. Change risk is the risk the firm or part of the firm will not be able to change. And technological risk is the risk technology will not deliver expected benefits. So if we can identify risk mitigation techniques for each of these initiative risks. So mitigation examples for alignment risk is use the balanced scorecard framework to assess the link to strategy. Solution risk is use sensitivity analysis to consider likely alternative benefit levels. Financial risk, we can interview other users of similar IT, follow a structured balanced scorecard management process. Project risk is assure active top management support for the project. For change risk, we can conduct training and create employee incentives for successful use of the new IT. And technological risk, we can require hardware and software vendors to demonstrate that their systems can meet requirements. Combining benefits, costs, and risks. We need to fully understand the financial implications of the investment. So we need to determine the relevant time frame for costs and benefits, then select appropriate discount rates to apply. We need to prepare capital budgeting financial metrics and assess the sensitivity of results to the assumptions. We also need to select the best alternative and summarize the reason for that choice. Capital budgeting financial metrics. What's our payback period and our break-even analysis? Both of these compare the costs with the benefits of an IT project. We would never do anything in business without analyzing our payback period and break-even analysis, especially something as big as a massive IT implementation, a new enterprise software. The break-even point is where the total value of benefits equals that of the total costs, and the payback is the number of periods needed to recover the project's initial investment. So payback period equals initial investment divided by increased cash flow per period. So as an example, assume an IT project is expected to cost $20,000 up front, and it will provide net benefits that average $16,000 per year for the next 3 years. So that means our payback period is 1 1/4 years. What about net present value? Sum of the present value of all cash inflows minus the sum of the present value of all cash outflows. Each cash outflow and inflow is discounted to its present value. So present value equals cash flow divided by 1 plus R to the T, where cash flow, or CF, is cash flow for period T, and R equals discount rate, typically the firm's weighted average cost of capital. Other financial metrics are internal rate of return, discount rate that makes the project's net present value equal to 0. Financial calculators and spreadsheet software such as Excel use an iterative technique for calculating internal rate of return. Starting with a guess, they cycle through the calculations until the result is accurate. The IRR and net present value functions are related in that if you use IRR at the discount rate R in calculating net present value, then your net present value will be 0. What about accounting rate of return, ARR? It's the average annual income from the IT initiative divided by initial investment cost. So average annual income from IT divided by total IT investment cost gives us our accounting rate of return. So here are some strengths and weaknesses of financial method. Our payback period has a strength of easy to calculate and understand. It's widely used. But one of the weaknesses is it ignores the time value of money as well as both costs and benefits occurring after the payback period. Accounting rate of return relates estimates to standard accounting ratios using an accrual accounting. It shows impact on operating income, but it's weak because it ignores the time value of money and assumes cash flows in all periods are similar. Net present value strength is it considers the time value of money. It incorporates cash flow over the life of the IT initiative. It compares the dollar value of the benefits from the IT initiative to their initial investment, but it's weak because larger projects tend to have larger net present values. It does not show rate of return on investment and sensitive to discount rate applied. And internal rate of return considers the time value of money. It incorporates cash flows over the life of the IT initiative. It computes the unique rate of return for the initiative, and it's not sensitive to a selected discount rate. But it fails to consider the size of the project, and it's sensitive to timing of the cash flows. So let's have an example. Here's our project, and the benefits are laid out by year: 20,000, 20,000, 30, for a total of 70. And then we have costs per year and cash flow per year. And that gives us a payback period of 1.26 years, a net present value of 16,908, and an internal rate of return of 52%. Note that the total cash flow is equal, but net present value and IRR are not, due to the time value of money. Try it in Excel using the net present value and internal rate of return functions. Please actually try to calculate these. Go back and look at the formulas, or pull them up in your book if you need to, and calculate them. And then use Excel's actual functions and see if you match Excel, and see if you match the slide here. Test sensitivity to changes in assumptions. So we have our current system, and we have performance and our timeline for implementation. So we have current performance at this level, and we drop off at implementation. Then we have a rise here to expected performance, but we're affected here by the risks of projects, delays, lower benefits, and higher costs, and we have to consider these and try to place a value on our assumptions. So prepare the value proposition, assemble the analysis for each alternative IT initiative, and recommend the preferred alternatives. Focus on these 5 questions: the change and the technology proposed, the anticipated benefits related to the firm's critical success factors, the groups within the firm that will benefit, the timing of the benefits, and the likelihood of achieving those benefits as planned. These are the 5 key questions that we need to ask ourselves when we're implementing new IT or considering implementing new IT systems. And that is the end of chapter 14. We've got 1 chapter left. Congratulations on getting this far. I pray that God blesses you all this week. Please let me know if you have any questions. And thank you for watching. I'll see you for chapter 15.